This week on Weekly Wharf Wixoss, we have Hirana a step towards the top versus Alfou cheering Diva. Stay tuned. Welcome, Selectors, to Weekly Wharf Wixoss. I'm your host, Big E. We have Hirana on the red side with her 2 assists, Tama and At. At brings along a enter charge ability at level 1 and a 2-stopper at level 2. With Tama bringing up the other side with her bounce ability and her ability to allow the center to double attack. On the blue side, we have a fun Alfou build that plays into her desire to mill her opponent, as well as the Virtuals from Niji Sanji. Eldor brings up the left side with her ability to mess with a life cloth and double trigger a life burst. And Urith on the right side, who has the ability to mill her opponent as well as clearing lanes. Now that we've seen the decks, what time is it, Tama? Hirana starts out here with a little misplay, trying to grow before enter charging. But don't worry, this is a nice casual game, so we're going to rectify that here real quick. At the same time, At is going to grow and enter charge 2. Not ideal having to use a servant here to block a lane, but not a lot of card draw early on, so it's fine. The turn moves over to Alfou. Alfou starts with enter charging and growing to level 1. When playing against Hirana, you really have to keep the damage and pressure up. So I would look to see a early use of assists here. Urith comes down here to get rid of Yuzuki and start the milling process. Alfou then drops 2 Maho Maho Desonas, both of which will mill their opponent for 2 when they attack. After the mill trigger, we have our first damage and no burst. Alfou liked it so much, we're doing it again. Mill 2 and reveal, and hey, we have a servant burst. Hirana decides to pick up a Lancelot from their trash, a solid pick for their next turn. And then we have an Elrig attack, which is deftly guarded by Hirana with a servant. And the turn passes back to Hirana. Hirana then enter charges from the field that lonely servant and grows to level 2. Now starts the barrage of the first Lancelot to clear 1 lane, followed by a second Lancelot clearing the other lane. This leaves Alfou wide open. Hirana then drops a Colubre to fill up their board and gets ready to press the attack. With no response from Alfou, Hirana then starts their attack, starting with Colubre. We have no burst. Next, middle Lancelot. We do have a burst. Tsukuyo Kana, whose burst is draw a card, then the Signy in your hand gain a guard this turn. Very good for preventing damage early in the game. Another direct attack. This life burst is Umise Yotsuha, whose life burst is target Signy in your opponent's field gets minus 8k until end of turn. So that takes care of the Colubre. Finally, we have our Elrig attack, which is guarded by any Signy in Alfou's hand. The turn then passes back to Alfou. After turn 3, we're at Hirana at 5 life cloth and Alfou at 4 life cloth with the life burst advantage in Alfou's favor. Alfou grows to level 2, followed quickly by Eldora to level 1. Eldora lets Alfou draw a card, and then look at the top card of their life cloth. They may shuffle that into their deck. If so, they add the top card of their deck into the life cloth. The life cloth is staying there. Must be something good. Alfou then starts to fill up their board with a Lynx Natural Planet at vanilla 10k, and 2 Kitakoji Hisuis which are just 2Ks, but will mill their opponent if they see another virtual Signy on the field. Neither Akita Koji's enter ability is being triggered here, which lets them put the top target Sleeing Girls Academy Signy from their trash into their enter zone. We have the first attack, which is clears the lane. The next attack, which is an underswing, but will mill Hirana for 2. We have our third attack coming in, not a burst, and will mill Hirana for 2. Finally, we have our attack from Alfou, which is definitely guarded again. And back over to Hirana. Hirana will enter charge the Lancelot now that it's done its job, and grow to level 3. Hirana's enter ability lets her draw a card and then enter charge 1. Note that since this is not team no limit, the top constant ability attacking Signy on your field get plus 2k power does not happen. Tama then uses her loud voice to bounce the Link's natural planet back to hand, followed quickly by a Romile to clear the center lane. Flanking the Romile, we have a Decarabia, a vanilla 10k on the left, and a Ga natural element, a vanilla 5k on the right. And Hirana's going to be going for it. We have Entwined Supremacy, the first piece. This adds an additional life cloth crushing attack to Hirana's attack that can also cancel life bursts by paying 2. Hirana then activates their once per game. However, At is only at level 1, which will prevent this ability from actually working, meaning Hirana will miss out on 1 damage. Alpha will then grow Earth to level 2, which will clear a lane and also mill both players for 4. You can use Earth's abilities in either order, so you can mill both you and your opponent before you try to remove a Signy from the field. Alfou decides to remove the Romile due to not having enough cards to remove the Decarabia. Alpha will then grow Eldora to level 2 and only use the top Life Burst activates twice ability. God Natural Element will then come and clear the lane. Decarabia will swing in, and we have a double trigger of a Servant, which was not double triggered in this case, which may be a misplay. Alfou decides to take a Takamiya Rion from their trash. This attack by Hirana triggered a rules question with Entwined Supremacy and the ability to cancel bursts. The answer is that Entwined Supremacy will cancel the entire card. If the card has multiple bursts, it'll cancel every burst on that card. This is where the discovery of the Hirana once per game ability not working due to the level 1 At. Make sure to read your cards. Hirana will swing away, adding both the Entwined Supremacy trigger and the Tama trigger to the bucket. We have a Life Burst that will be cancelled by the Entwined Supremacy's trigger, as that was the first ability out of the bucket. Next we have the actual attack damage coming through from the first attack, which will trigger not a burst. Then the Tama ability will trigger upping Hirana and letting Hirana attack, which is then guarded. Play then passes back to Hirana sitting at 4 life cloth to Alfou, who's only at 1. However, the life burst differential is 4 to 1, which is very good for Alfou. Alpha grows to level 3 and gets her enter ability, which vanishes a Signy. We're vanishing Decarabia. There are now 2 lanes open on Hirana's side. Alfou then uses Celine's Girls Academy after school piece to look at the top 5 cards of their deck, reveal up to 2 virtual signi from among them, and add them to their hand, and put the rest in the bottom of their deck in any order. The exceed cost was not paid, so there will be no enter charge. Alfou chooses Mireille Gundo and Selene Tatsuki as the 2 signi. Next, Alfou activates their once per game, which puts the top 8 cards of their opponent's deck into the trash, and then 3 target cards without a guard are removed from the game. Alfou chooses Flathrow Commander Roaring Flame, Andromeda Galactic Queen, and Mars Crimson Angel Queen as the 3 cards removed from the game. This last bit of mill is enough to refresh Hirana's deck, which triggers Alfou's ability that when an opponent's deck is refreshed, enter charge 1 or draw a card. In this case, a enter charge was chosen. The burn card is not a life burst, so Hirana dodges a bullet there. Alfou then plays Ponto Ne, which for 1 enter targets signi in your opponent's field gets minus 3k power, but if there's 10 or more virtual signi in your trash, it gets minus 5k, which unfortunately for Alfou, there's not 10 virtual signi in their trash, so only minus 3k on Ga Natural Element. Alfou then drops Nishizono Chigusa, not triggering her enter ability, and Lane Patterson for the mill at the start of the attack phase. Lane Patterson's ability is at the beginning of your attack phase, if all the signi on your field are virtual, put the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck into their trash. If the total level of the signi put into the trash this way is exactly 7, put the top 7 cards of your opponent's deck into their trash. In this case, the total came to 5, so no extra milling here. Hirana will respond by growing at to level 2, which will negate the attack of the first signi, followed by an additional 2, negating the next attack. So 2 attacks will be negated here. Ponto Ne will finish off the God Natural Element, and there's a slight misplay here. These attacks should be negated. Either way, no damage happens. Alfou will then proceed to attack, followed by a trigger from the Nishizono Chigusa, which will allow a second attack by paying double white. The first attack triggers a Decarabia, which allows Hirana to pay 1 enter and then vanish target signi in your opponent's field, which will open up a lane. Alfou then ups and readies a second attack. This attack doesn't trigger anything. Play then passes back over to Hirana for what looks like the last turn of the game. Hirana then enter charges and plays her signature piece, Go to the Top. This allows Hirana to search their deck for a signi and reveal it, and then shuffle. Then if her opponent's center Elric is level 3 or more, their opponent chooses and puts 3 cards from their enter zone into their trash. Hirana chooses Halberd full armed as the signi. Hirana plays a Lancelot, which will clear Ponto Ne off of Alfou's side, opening up yet another lane. Plays the Halberd full armed. Pays its cost, discards a red card, and draws 2 cards. And then plays a Decarabia in the other lane, setting up a very strong 2 attack lane to 1 life cloth. Moving quickly to the attack phase, Hirana, sensing victory at hand, attacks first with Decorabia to get the last life burst, which is a non-burst, and then finishes the game with Halberd. Hirana is the winner of this battle. I would like to thank both selectors for playing their decks for the camera, and I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. And I'll see you next week for more Weekly Wharf Wixoss. Thanks for watching.